Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. I do have one quick favor before we get to the video that you came here for, and that is very simply this. You see that little red subscribe button below this video? Go ahead, smash that subscribe button. It really does help me. It really does help this channel grow and my audience grow. So go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And now, here is the video that you came here for. Then when you're prepping for a show, you feel good about it, but you don't know what you're going to do. How am I going to lead it? What's the hot topic? And a topic from heaven falls into your lap. And that is exactly what happened on Wednesday night. True story. I'm preparing for this show. I'm getting ready to do this show. And as I'm getting ready to do this show, I see in passing that a Kentucky basketball releases a quick little 10-second video with their star center, their star transfer, Olivier Sarr, and I really don't think much of it. And then, right as I'm not even kidding, I am ready to press record on this show, my intern, Zach, texts me and says, Sarr, eligible, finally. And it was like a light bulb deja vu moment, like, oh, okay, I guess that's what that video was about. And so literally as I was getting ready to hit record, I had to stop because the big topic of the day, I believe, in college sports is the eligibility of Olivier Sarr. He is officially declared eligible for the University of Kentucky. And what I will tell you is, Kentucky fans who are listening, bear with me. I'm doing this all off the top of my head, no notes prepared. So please forgive me as I go in a lot of different directions on this topic, but it is huge. And it's huge because of the reason that I mentioned off the top. Over the course of the summer, obviously the transfer market becomes the big topic and story in college basketball. And when Olivier Sarr entered the transfer portal, I said, this is the best transfer in college basketball right now. He played at Wake Forest, played at the highest level, legitimate 7-footer, a guy that I believe, frankly, has a future in the NBA, but a legitimate 7-footer, was third-team All-ACC last year, and really came on strong. He's a guy that's still relatively new to basketball, and so people would sit there and say, well, if he's a junior, how good can he be? Well, not everybody grew up in America with a basketball in their hands at 2 years old. Olivier Sarr is from France. He's a little bit newer to basketball, and really over his 3 years at Wake Forest, he really developed into a really good college player that I believe with one more year has a chance to play in the NBA. And so when he entered the transfer portal, I said, this is the best player in this transfer portal right now, and he commits to Kentucky. And so for people who do not know the full backstory, essentially what happened was this. He was not a grad transfer. He was a junior. He had 1 year of eligibility left. And there's this kind of arbitrary SEC rule that basically says that if you're not a grad transfer and you only have 1 year of eligibility left, you are forced to sit out a year if you come to an SEC school. And so in theory, Olivier Sarr had already been cleared to play by the NCAA, but there was an SEC rule that forbid him from being eligible. And what happened last week, my understanding is that last week, if you remember the story, I don't even think I talked about it, but the NCAA has basically said that all winter sport athletes, because of this pandemic, get an extra year of eligibility. It happened last year with spring athletes. It's now happening with fall and winter athletes, where if you're playing this year and you want to sit out or you don't want to play or whatever, we're just going to give you an extra year of eligibility. And so when that rule went into place, what that meant was that, in theory, Olivier Sarr now has 2 years of eligibility left. Once he has 2 years of eligibility left, you can't really play the card if you're the SEC office of this old archaic rule about having to sit out a year. And so I think the SEC kind of and I'm doing this, and we might get information at some point in the future that tells us a little bit more of what the SEC's thought process was. But my real thought process was very simply that I just believed that once that rule was changed where everyone got an extra year of eligibility, where this kid got 2 years, that the SEC was going to clear him. Because at this point, why are you going to fight the PR fight? We're getting the one-time transfer rule next year anyway. And so it was a real zero-sum situation for the SEC. They had nothing to gain by fighting for this. I guess in theory, other than fight, the only thing they really had to gain was not pissing off the other 13 SEC teams. And why would the other 13 teams be pissed off? It's because this kid is really good. And so why this is so important is because of what I said a minute ago. He is a big-time player who is transferring from one Power 5 conference to another, and he has experience playing at the highest level in college basketball. Again, a third-team All-ACC member who was successful at Wake Forest, played his best basketball down the stretch last year during his final season at Wake Forest. And of course, when he decided to transfer, it only came after Danny Manning was fired. But again, really played his best basketball late, dropped 25 points in a win over Duke late in the season, 30 against Notre Dame, and this kid is really good. And I don't want to put unrealistic, completely unfair expectations on him. But one, like I said, I think he's a continually developing player. I think he is going to be better this year than he was last year. And as I said when he transferred to Kentucky, for people who did watch Kentucky last year, he reminds me a lot of Nick Richards. Great energy, plays hard. The thing Nick Richards had by the time that he left was that little 15 to 18-foot jumper. I don't know if Olivier Sarr has that, but he's got all the skill, all the athleticism, all the shot blocking, and any Kentucky fan listening knows this, is that he is exactly the missing piece that team needed to have ultimate success this year, right? If you don't know Kentucky's roster, it is really young, but it is really talented. They have two star wing players, one named B.J. Boston, the other named Terrence Clark, both of whom were McDonald's All-Americans last year. They have a freshman point guard named Devin Askew. They have a couple power forward type guys, Isaiah Jackson, who's a freshman, Keon Brooks, who's a sophomore. But the one thing they were missing was rim protection, was a veteran presence, and a guy like Olivier Sarr. And so with Olivier Sarr, they're the complete puzzle, right? They now, in addition to scoring on the wing with B.J. Boston and Terrence Clark, in addition to having two capable point guards, Devin Askew and Davion Mintz, another transfer who I didn't mention, in addition to the low post presence of Isaiah Jackson and all those guys, they now have that rim protector, shot blocker, rim runner, whatever. And I think when you factor in Olivier Sarr with the pieces that they have, it's like I said, they are, in my opinion, a consensus top 5 team, and they are right up there with with Tennessee in terms of the top 2 teams in the SEC. Now, listen, may it take a while to get going for Kentucky? Of course. Calipari even said it the other day in that weird video that he did where he's in the practice gym, pulls down his mask, starts talking. But if you watch the video, he said, look, we got a really tough out-of-conference schedule. They're obviously going to play Kansas in the out-of-conference, Notre Dame. They're going to play Louisville, obviously, with the Chris Mack stuff. And so I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated, but I do believe that this team has the highest ceiling of any team since the 2017 team that had Bam Adebayo and De'Aaron Fox. And I think defensively it's going to be their calling card because this kid Olivier Sarr is a special rim protector. The kid Isaiah Jackson is a special rim protector. And when you have those two guys at the rim, I just don't know how you score on Kentucky. And so I don't want to belabor the point. I don't want to oversell this kid. He's not, he's not, I'm trying to think, whatever, Greg Oden. He's not Anthony Davis, but he is a really, 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 really good college basketball player, and he fits a need for the University of Kentucky. And I just think this is a game changer. When I look at this season, there are some really good teams at the top with Kentucky, be it Villanova, be it Baylor's really good, Gonzaga's really good. But Kentucky is right there, man, because the kid B.J. Boston is really special. Terrence Clark, I tweeted this out the other day, but I am hearing Terrence Clark has as much upside as any player Kentucky has had in a while, a 6'8", 6'9" freshman who can handle the ball, create on his own, and he's kind of that mentally tough kind of alpha dog that Kentucky needs. And so I think this is a great day for Kentucky, obviously, but I also think it's a great day for college basketball. The more good players that we have, the more good players in this sport, the more good teams in this sport, the better it is for the sport as a whole. And I think what's so interesting, and I think it's something that people are just starting to kind of wrap their heads around now, I think it's going to be a big November, December, and January for college basketball because there's really going to be nothing competing with it in the middle of the week. Remember, the NBA is done until at least January, and the NBA is talking about realistically pushing all the way back to the middle of January. And so when you talk about college basketball opening the week before Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving, having all of November, all of December, all of January, that is a great stage for college basketball, and it's a great stage for a program like Kentucky, which is always going to draw interest, right? There's only so many topics that we can. There's only so much that the national shows can talk about with the Cowboys and with Russell Wilson and with Patrick Mahomes. And like at some point, they're going to want to talk about something else. And so I think college basketball having the stage on its own in November, December, January is great for the sport. And I think it's going to be really fun to watch, and I think it's going to be really fascinating. And I think Kentucky is now a team that is right there with everybody else. Now, like I said, it's going to take time. This team is still young. There are no exhibition games. There are no practice games to get better. And so I will be fascinated to see how it all plays out. But I am so excited. And like I said, I think it's good for college basketball. I think it's good for the sport in general when Kentucky is elite. And they're going to be elite this year, man. I'm telling you, this kid Olivier Sarr is good.